You do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter. He can punch, and he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger.
I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage, and he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you're from the hood, you will know.
Boxing pros reveal that Jake Paul has no real chance of surviving against Gervonta Davis. Shakur Stevenson says that even with Jake's huge size advantage, it won't help him when he faces Tank. He believes Tank's sharp skill and fearless experience will completely control the fight. Shakur predicts that Tank won't even try for a knockout because Jake is too big to fall easily, but will outbox him all night. In the end, Tank will prove his dominance and win by decision, showing everyone why size means nothing against true skill.
Difference between these two guys.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and said he's got good power. Not even and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch, and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. He's been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Do you see a more likely chance that Tank wins by decision or by knockout?
By decision. I mean, that guy's too big. I don't think that he's just gonna knock that guy out. So I see him like outboxing him.
Could you see a realistic possibility where Tank could knock him out? Although more likely that it is, like you just said, a decision.
Nah, I don't see him knocking him out, no.
Will you watch, Shakur? I mean,
no.
Obviously, no?
Hell no, nah. That ain't really like... I mean, like I said, here's the thing. Like, I got two sides of me when it comes down to I got a business side, then I got a competitor side. And from the competitive aspect, it don't excite me for me to be like, okay, I want to watch it.
Showbiz the Adult explains that Tank has already proven his ability to handle taller and bigger opponents like Ryan Garcia. He reminds everyone that Ryan wasn't just taller, but also faster and explosive, yet Tank still found his rhythm and beat him decisively. The YouTuber and analyst says that if Tank could close the distance against Ryan, who had real boxing experience, then Jake Paul will be no different. Jake's size might look like an advantage on paper, but Chiz insists boxing is about distance control timing and ring IQ, the areas where Tank completely dominates. He believes Tank has mastered the art of reading movement and setting traps, and once Jake steps into the ring, those deadly skills will come alive instantly.
Emotionally, see if he's rattled. See, when it's all said and done, the whole talking shit goes out the window. Jake's scared. And let me tell you this too. I looked at I'm sizing them up. I'm looking at Tank and Jake, and I'm looking at him. Tank can reach him too. He reached Ryan Garcia. He reached Mario Barrios. I was like, he ain't gonna be able to reach him. He's gonna reach him, I saw Tank's gonna reach him. He knows he's gonna reach him. Listen, I wanna say this too. Funny as hell. Before I say all this, Alicia Baumgartner, shout out to you, girl. I couldn't believe out of all the women to be the first one to do 3 minute, 12 rounds is Alicia Baumgartner. And I really know if I have a great endurance, great stamina, and she's doing this shit. Shout out to Alicia Baumgartner. Because, what's her name, Layla? I don't really know her like that. But she looks like she ain't rattled by Alicia. So that's a perfect dance partner for that. Trying to drag Alicia Baumgartner into lake water, see what's going on with that. Shout out to Alicia Baumgartner. But let's get back to Tank. First of all, Tank knows what he's doing. Tank Davis, he said, he was just making all these implications that it's going to be scripted. When he said, you're paying me, and then he was like, yo, you're going to have to give me extra. And then he said that this is scripted.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You pay me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
Chris. Algieri praises Gervonta Davis for his incredible ability to draw massive attention every single time he fights. According to Algieri, boxing is no longer just about skill. It's about who can excite the fans and bring real energy back to the arenas. Tank has become the face of that new era. Every time he steps into the ring, he brings a wave of electricity that grabs both hardcore boxing fans and casual viewers alike. Algieri points out that Jake Paul, even without elite technical skill, has done something similar by reviving mainstream interest and pulling in a whole new crowd that might have never watched boxing before. He believes both men in their own unique way are breathing life back into the sport by captivating different kinds of audiences.
About the face of boxing could be Jake Paul soon. And the face of boxing is basically... Yeah, the face of boxing now is based on if you sell and if people tune in and how many eyes are tuning in when you fight. Gervonta Davis had that. Jake Paul has that. Now they're fighting each other.
Again, these are created products. These are still created products. Jake made his name going to Walgreens and then making funny faces. You know what I mean? And it was just blowing up on YouTube and whatnot, right? I mean, that's how he started.
The world we live in now, dude. It's unfortunate. Okay, it's not like Sugar Ray Leonard, who was the best fighter in the world and marketable. It's not like Oscar De La Hoya, who was a gold medalist, a great fighter and marketable.
But what I'm saying is technology allows us to make, if I want to take this shoe off right here, and I say, I want to make my Nike sneaker into the best product possible, and I got enough money to push it behind it. I put it all over your social media platform, and I put it all over your TV set and all over your phone and all over. You know what, bro? You're gonna start to get curious about this shit.
Charleston. White completely dismisses Jake Paul's career, calling it nothing more than entertainment dressed up as boxing. He argues that none of Jake's fights have ever felt like real professional bouts. Instead, they are carefully staged shows designed only to bring in views and money. According to him, Jake has never faced a true top-tier boxer who could actually test his skill toughness and endurance inside the ring. Charleston's words echo the frustration of boxing purists who see Jake as someone using the sport as a marketing game rather than mastering it as a craft. He believes that if Jake ever steps in with someone like Gervonta Davis, the truth will be brutally exposed because Tank's world-class training reflexes and championship experience would reveal just how shallow Jake's boxing really is, proving that popularity can't create legends, only real fights can.
YouTube boxing and what people say is going on in the media, without a doubt, I think Charleston White is 100% right about that. Don't believe anything you hear. Don't believe anything you see. Wait to see how things play out, and ultimately everything will come out in the wash. Well, going into this fight with Gervonta Davis, I had my concerns about the fight because of the same type of reasoning that Charleston White used, except for mine is slightly different. I don't think that either one of these guys are going to try to do too much damage to each other. Number one, because if it's scripted, which more than likely to an extent it will be, Gervonta Davis is not going to put himself in a situation where Jake Paul is going to actually be able to hurt him. And with these 12-ounce gloves on top of Gervonta Davis's hands, which is bigger, 2 ounces bigger, I do believe.
Atlas, one of the most respected voices in boxing, compares the potential Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight to when Jake's brother Logan faced Floyd Mayweather. He explains that even though Jake may hold the physical advantage, it won't matter because Tank's experience will be the true difference maker. Atlas describes Tank as a dancer, a fighter who controls rhythm, pace, and energy inside the ring with complete command. He says Tank has spent his entire career facing dangerous opponents, developing killer instincts that allow him to break down anyone no matter their size. Jake, on the other hand, lacks the sharpness and ring awareness to survive at that elite level. Atlas reminds everyone that boxing is not about size or muscle. It's about precision, timing, and control. And when Tank moves every single step, every single punch carries a purpose.
I liked this when I heard it. No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter. He can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa. Do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else. They just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have the bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air? Bang!
Showbiz. The adult also talks about Gervonta Davis's personality outside the ring, saying that Tank might not be the most polished speaker or businessman, but that's not what makes him dangerous. His confidence comes from his roots from growing up in a world where toughness was survival, not talk. Showbiz explains that Tank's body language during press conferences says everything without a word. He never looks scared, pressured, or unsure. When he stands across from his opponent, there's a silent intensity in his eyes that speaks louder than any trash talk. Showbiz points out that while Jake Paul knows how to promote fights and play the media game, Tank doesn't need any of that because his aura, his presence, and his power do all the talking for him.
Tank Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage. And he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you're from the hood, you will know. It's kind of like taking a guy from the block and putting him in the corporate world in a business meeting. He's going to be so out of his element that he's just, he doesn't even know how to argue without sounding like, I'm gonna whoop your ass, I'm gonna beat you. The way Jake was doing things, he had the clowns coming out.
Not everyone is convinced that Tank can beat Jake Paul. Some analysts urge fans to stay realistic and remember that weight classes exist for a reason. They argue that while Tank's power and explosiveness dominate at lightweight, and super featherweight, things change completely when facing a naturally heavier fighter like Jake. Boxing is a game of physics, and a 135-pound fighter stepping up against someone who walks around at over 190 pounds faces serious disadvantages in reach, strength, and durability. These analysts warn that Tank's punches might not carry the same destructive impact on a man. Jake's size, and even if Tank lands clean shots, Jake's heavier frame could absorb them in a way that neutralizes his usual power.
All of a sudden, we want to know who will win in this fight, Jake Paul or Tank Davis. It's a legit question, and I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win, because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. That weight class is for a reason.
Davis
that weight class is for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Bro.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135-pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30-pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30-pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake and
Despite all the skepticism many fans still find, Jake Paul's presence in boxing wildly entertaining. The fight has drawn both heavy criticism and genuine excitement because it adds mystery and curiosity back into the sport. Some purists write it off as nothing more than a money grab, but others see it as a spark that brings new life to boxing. Jake Paul has that rare ability to make people talk, whether they love him or hate him. Every time his name is linked to a fight, the spotlight immediately follows. Fans don't just tune in to watch him win, they tune in to see if this will finally be the night he gets humbled, and that unpredictability is what makes boxing feel alive again. Even the most traditional fans admit that Jake's presence injects drama, passion, and energy the sport has been missing for years, giving boxing the chaos and charisma it truly thrives on.